Hi everyone.
Hey everybody.
So
Why don't you tell them about you, Dimitri?
I don't know. I'm just I just love refactoring.
Dimitri is a senior Ruby developer and also dabbles in JavaScript and contributes to Dev 2. How's that?
Yeah, that's
Does
good.
that sound reasonable? Okay.
Sure, thank you. You
Yeah.
wanted to um give introduction to where we are uh, from the last
Yeah,
session.
sure. Yeah. I might need you to help jog my memory a little bit, but let me just dig deep here and see what I can remember.
Um,
We had sort of just started at the top of this file, and there's a massive amount of code in this one function. So we were kind of trying to parse out what it was doing and then break it out into a few other functions where it makes sense so that ideally, by the time we get done, each function we have is just doing one thing. Is that kind of how you would characterize what we've done so far?
yeah, well, kind of. Yeah, there is a lot of code, so we're extracting some methods, and
Yeah.
my goal was to kind of extract a lot of from this initialize comments page, and
Hmm.
we would see like structure, what it
Yep.
does, like
Yeah.
instead of just a wall of code.
Hmm. Yeah. And I liked your approach to naming. I'd like to share that with anyone who is here. You were like, for the function, when you pulled out a function, but you weren't sure exactly what it does, like it's still hard to read, even as we're extracting it out. You were just sort of giving it a nonsense name that didn't mean anything. And that way, as we're sort of reading through it and understanding what it actually does, we can go back and rename it, and we can just like global find replace for that nonsense name. I think one of them was applesauce and one of them was ketchup or something like that.
Yeah,
And
ketchup.
and we know we're not, yeah. And so we can just like find and replace those globally throughout the file and know we're not actually renaming anything we don't want to rename potentially. So yeah, I liked that approach.
Yeah, I picked that in series of articles, and I will I have, if I haven't sent it to you, I can send it to you, so you can share.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay. So we kind of have these long names for this um, extracted things, and also I think we should focus on getting to into like finding out what structure is there
Hmm.
by extracting more.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I'm for it.
Uh, so we get in variables from basically um, what was embedded in DOM here,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then we update in commentable ID, commentable type, and list.
Commentable
What?
ID list.
Commentable ID is a list of IDs. It seems
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that's kind
Yeah.
of kind of weird way to put it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Why would a single element have a list of IDs? I might actually, while you're looking at the code there, I might pull up dev2 and just see if I can figure out what that is. Dataset.commentable ID. So that is going to manifest in the DOM as a commentable -id attribute on an element somewhere, right?
Yeah, in this case, it's just one number.
Oh, okay. In this specific case.
Yeah, but for some reason they expect several of them.
Yeah. I'm looking at a live page right now, and there is a comments container that has data commentable ID. It also just has one ID.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Guess we'll leave that for now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is we kind of could extract it into, if this was a class, we could extract it into methods, but that would obscure the like problems that are here. I mean, it's weird that it's like several IDs, right? But we can choose either to investigate that in Ruby code or continue with the rest of the function. What do you think
Yeah.
we should do?
Let's keep going. Let's go for the low-hanging fruit,
Yeah.
and we can circle back around to that.
Okay. This buts actually means buttons.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a silly abbreviation. Like they've saved two letters and named it something entirely different.
Yeah.
But it's more fun to read, I guess.
Well, I don't know. So reaction button. Okay. Um, so this is it won't do it for me. Let's extract it.
Okay.
Um,
You want another okay, you got it.
yeah, I thought about what names would I like, and I thought maybe beef stew.
Beef stew. Okay. That
Uh,
works.
well, I thought a little bit. Um,
I had
so
salsa tonight, so if we need another one later, we can use salsa.
sauce what?
Salsa.
Salsa. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So apple pie, and it doesn't seem to use anything. So okay. So this on click. It seems like it's pretty much separate.
Mm-hmm.
what it does though. Reacted. Reaction buttons are these buttons, I think.
Okay. Okay, so this is the handler for the click handler for those buttons, attaching that. I wonder why they have used button.onClick instead of add event listener. And I wonder if there is a reason to use one or the other. I actually don't know.
Listener, like what would be isn't onClick also a listener?
Yeah, it is. I just wonder if there's a difference in the two ways to attach that click event listener, because um, you could do instead of button dot on click, you could do button dot add event listener and then pass it click.
So that's just a syntax difference.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. Because I think recently I've seen a lot more add event listener and not as much like something dot on click.
Interesting. I'll in what I've seen in Vue, it's more onClick rather than.
Hmm.
So it's kind of updates reaction counts, it seems. So I
Hmm.
will say uh, update reaction counts.
I'm just going to explain what you're doing here if you'll leave it there for a second.
Sure.
Um, okay, what Dimitri is doing, he's using Vim, the text editor, and it has a command line sort of that you can get to by typing the colon, and then you can type in various commands. And that S command he just did that you see here is a substitution. The percent sign means that the scope of this substitution is the entire file that's in this buffer right now. So the whole file that we're looking at. And then the slash is separating the different parts of this command. So it's a substitution, that's the S. And then slash delineates the beginning of the first term, the term that we're replacing. So he's replacing apple pie, and then the next slash starts the replacement. So he's replacing it with update reaction counts and stuff. And then the last slash lets him do some flags. So the G flag is global, which means that it will replace multiple instances on the same line. Is that right?
Yeah, you know your Vim well.
I know what?
You
Vim
know
wall.
your Vim well.
Thank you, thank you. I know it just well enough to get by and just well enough to explain that.
Well, your explanation skills are really good, I should say.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Okay,
you very much.
so we kind of test that it just doesn't break anything.
Cool. Loaded the page, no exceptions. It's probably
Yeah,
good.
well, it's not a guarantee, but
Sure, it's something.
mm,
What is GDC? That's an alias, I guess you have.
GDC.
Yeah, I thought you typed
It's
GDC.
yeah, it's git diff that it was staged,
Okay.
failed to push.
Pushed branch tip is behind its remote counterpart.
Um, I renamed the branch.
Uh-huh. And
And
that's causing problems.
yeah, I don't know really why it's this way. I don't know git. I can't. I know git barely too. Okay. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Oh, I wonder if it was still tracking with the remote branch with the old name.
How do you check that?
Ooh, I don't actually know. I think we can probably just keep going though, as long as you specify the remote branch name when you push, it should work fine.
Okay. Um, it should have pluses should have been removed by now, but something is not working as expected. Then it's reply but toggle reply form. Uh, why is it reply buttons when there's just one reply? Um, maybe just
Is that for existing comments, maybe? Like if there are existing comments, do they give you a reply button? Let me see.
maybe. I don't see anything here that would um, do that.
Uh, what was the toggle reply form? Is that the class?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's inside an existing comment in the bottom right, you have a little reply button, and that's what that is, I think.
Uh, thank you for figuring it out. It's just
Sure
I
thing.
had no idea where to look for it. Okay, it's
If you post a comment on that,
yeah.
um, oh, you got it. Okay, yeah, you see it. Sorry, I'm I've got the stream up on my monitor on the left, and sometimes I forget and start watching it, so then I'm behind where you actually are.
Uh, okay, I got it. So reply buttons. So that would be comment reply buttons, but let's extract it. Uh,
And you have split the Vim into two panes so that you can see two different parts of the file at the same time. Is that right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, so if it's a thread, then return power.
Does it make sense to pull the click handler out?
Mm, where pull it like a separate function?
Yeah, just like pull that function out and name it something, and then button dot on click equals that function.
Mm, why do you think that would be good?
Mm, just to have less going on in this function.
But it's kind of made of it. There is nothing else here, I think.
Okay. Okay.
It's basically, right, well, as I prefer to have, like, have loop body and loop separate, it would be good. Well, we can do that. I see function like this without name for the first time, I think. Is that
What's that?
like this function without name?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's an anonymous function. So they're fairly common for stuff like this, for binding to events, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
They can make it, sometimes they can make debugging a little bit harder. If you want, you could actually name that function.
Um,
Like
yeah.
you could call it, what kind of, it's the reply button, is that what it is?
Reply button.
Is that what it's for, the reply button? Or is it for the reaction buttons?
Um, it's for reply buttons. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You could call it button listener or something like that if you wanted to. That way, um, if it threw an exception, or if something down the line threw an exception, your stack trace might be easier to read. Oh, you don't necessarily have to pull it out. You can name it in that assignment.
Well, yeah, but I
Yeah.
I prefer to have loop body separate.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying earlier you didn't want it that way.
I just didn't realize there was a loop. Like was
Oh,
too
gotcha,
much
gotcha.
to process, so I just
Okay.
like this, or is it bind? No, I don't think it's like this. I think it's something like bind event, or just
Actually, I
or
think you could
just
just
like
say
this.
button dot, yeah, yeah, like that. Yeah, I think that would work. And it'll automatically call it and pass in the event um when the event fires.
Okay. Um. So what we do is set up. Wait. Set up comment. Oh,
Reply
I
button listeners.
just hate this. This
Comment reply button listeners.
maybe handler, not listener. Maybe handler. What?
Yep, that works. Yeah, either one works. Actually, I guess handler is probably more appropriate.
Okay. I should mark it. Well, it seems like it. At least compiles.
Cool. Maybe hit your reply button and make sure it does the thing.
Well, we can do that. There is nothing happening at all.
Wonder what that means. Do we want to try to debug it? Let's see what's going on.
It's just really slow.
Okay. I read just a little bit about on-click versus add event listener. And it looks like the big difference is if you assign something to on-click, you can only attach one event handler. If you do add event listener, you could potentially have multiple event listeners attached to one event on an element, but you cannot do that with like dot on click or dot on whatever. You can only have one.
That's a pretty interesting.
It's probably not
difference.
important right now. Yeah, it is. It is an interesting difference. But I assume it's not relevant here since that's the web. If anyone is watching this stream and has a question, feel free to post that in the chat. I am watching the chat, so I will try to answer it, or I will bring in Dimitri and we'll try to answer it together.
Not sure what's happening here, but there is no movement at all. Maybe.
Yeah, when you hit reply.
Maybe I can't reply to my own comment, or I don't know.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't know.
And
we could.
There is just nothing happening. But wait, it's like did I miss something? Did we do reply? Oh, okay.
We could.
We didn't add it here, so no wonder it's.
Oh, gotcha. We didn't
broken.
call that. Makes sense. Oh. Ah, okay. So there's stuff that this is trying to. There's stuff the click handler is trying to use that's not getting into it.
I guess parent ID might be somewhere defined here. Yeah.
So what we are doing right now, just to give some context, when Dimitri clicked on the reply button, we got this exception reference error commentable ID is not defined. So we're trying to hunt that down and see why that variable is not defined at this point.
I don't know. This passing out of variables at least makes it somewhat interesting.
Sure.
It's a bit daunting to refactor this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel the same.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot, but this is okay. Like this is going okay, I think. Do
Uh,
those variables ultimately need to go down into the event handler too?
yeah, they have to. So
Okay.
how do we do that? Do we bind something or actually
I
I
think
would
the way
yeah
go ahead.
I would like to make a class out of it. Really, at this point already.
Okay.
It kind of screams that what is this refactoring pattern that um, turns a method into an object, or maybe it's called method object.
Mm-hmm.
So variables that are in this long function, they get converted to instance variables,
Mm-hmm.
and that way there is less to pass. Um,
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
uh,
This is something that I'm excited to see you do because this is actually not probably something I would do naturally. I would like kill myself trying to pass everything around. So I'm excited to see how you approach this.
I'm gonna
I
put
would
it
have what I would have done is I would have like
yeah.
go ahead.
I just put it inside because I'm gonna to convert it into a class anyway, so I don't want to bother with passing this
Okay,
variable. I just want to commit it so we have
sounds good.
a base, solid base, and then we can go from there.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, so you're gonna create a class and the class will have instance variables that represent all these different pieces of data that you're currently having to pass around to different functions. And instead of doing that, you'll have an instance of the class and it will share all those variables and all the methods of the class will just naturally have access to them.
Yeah. One thing that my setup lacks is um, completions for Git stuff. Like if I use alias with this alias, if I use this alias, and I will have no completions for this. But if I use git commit,
Oh, right.
I will get completions. So
Yeah.
that's where it sucks.
So you have a shorter command, but no autocomplete.
Not in this setup now.
Yeah, yeah. Now I use Git has aliases too. You can have just like a Git alias. So I have some of those. I'm not using shell aliases for Git, but I have like Git CI as an alias for commit. So it's a lot longer than like I think a lot of people use GCI or something like that. It's, I don't know, three keystrokes longer than that, but I think I do get completions with it, which is nice.
Well, I kind of want to switch to that shell. But
Hmm.
it's like a big project. So I started it and then I
Hmm.
um got to do something else and maybe I will return to it.
What's
Uh,
what's the shell called?
that shell.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There is like
Yeah, I'm using Oh My ZSH, and it's
yeah,
pretty handy.
yeah, that's what I wanted to use to like
Yeah, yeah.
make it simpler for me to do all sorts of stuff like completions.
Yeah.
Um, I need to go to the bathroom for a minute. So, okay,
Yeah, sure.
okay.
I don't think there are many people in here, but if you're in here and you have a question or you just want to say hi, post that in the chat. Otherwise, we will wait on Dimitri and continue this refactoring. Tell me about what you've been doing to overcome social distancing, or if you are perfectly happy with social distancing, or what video games you've been playing, or anything. I am generally okay with social distancing. I'm an introvert, so kind of works just fine for me. But we just moved, and my neighbors had a sort of social distanced social, is what I've been calling it, I guess. We went out onto our balconies. We're all on the same side of the building and just sort of yelled at each other across the gaps between the balconies. And that was a lot of fun.
Okay, I'm back.
Cool.
Did you say that you wouldn't do method objects, so you would just pass things around, right?
Yeah, I would. Not because that's the better way to do it, just because that's what I'm comfortable with.
Well,
But it does get messy sometimes. So I'm excited to see your approach.
well, it's exactly the pain of passing variables. That's
Hmm.
good for this. Also, it's good for splitting stuff
Hmm.
inside the namespace.
Okay. So creating it by nature of everything being self-contained in the object, you have a separate namespace,
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about collisions. That makes sense. I
Um,
might have to jump off here before too long, but if you're like if you're on a roll and you know, moving right along, then feel free to continue on without me.
uh,
But I'll stick around for a few more minutes.
so you're going away?
Probably soon-ish, in the next
Um,
10 or 15 minutes, something like that.
I will finish too. I just don't feel like doing it alone. Um, it's
Hmm.
it's pretty daunting this code. I don't know. It's
Yeah, yeah, it's nasty. It's a
uh,
lot nicer to sort of have two sets of eyes on it.
just don't feel the usual like excitement that
Hmm.
I have when refactoring.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Well,
it's
you're not working in JavaScript all the time, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, I think
You're more comfortable in Ruby.
it's really a big chunk of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to convert it all in one go. I just want these methods to go under there and
Hmm.
convert everything just one by one.
Hmm.
So I need I will copy these lines
Okay.
to the constructor.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We established last time that we can use ES6, right?
Yeah, thankfully.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be much nicer.
Um, okay, that's all good in here,
Okay.
and then we can. Um, should I use our functions to um? I think it should be fine to just with just regular functions.
I'm not following you.
I mean to access this, I don't need our functions, right?
Mm, I'm not sure.
I think not. I think not. It would be too bad. It's if I call them on this class
Hmm.
new.
So you don't have to move those functions into the class before you can call them like that, before you can reference them like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it now I get to feel better about this. Yeah, I could pass these values, but I'll just leave it like that. Like that. Now we have to just move stuff into the class.
Oh, okay. Now you're gonna move it in. Okay, gotcha.
There is no private keyword in JavaScript so far, I think.
I believe that is correct. Actually, is there something like that? Let me, I'm second guessing myself now.
Well, maybe in some really new.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe private and protected properties and methods.
Oh, that's a scary function. Wait, I need to
Oh, yeah,
refresh.
okay. Yeah, so I guess there's a convention to prefix private um, methods and properties with an underscore, but it's not enforced. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like there's nothing enforced by the language. I bet there is in TypeScript, though. Just out of curiosity. I'm gonna look.
Yeah, we could actually have a field day with just one of these functions.
Yeah, exactly. Probably
It seems
spend
like
four
that
four hours on any one of them.
function was not did not have anything.
Hmm. Just for the record, TypeScript does have private methods and properties for classes. A little bit of trivia.
Interesting, but
Hmm.
don't really commentable ID. Uh, I'm just set up. Okay. Okay. Hopefully it will compile,
Hmm.
but I think it might be not compile.
Unexpected identifier.
And where is the problem?
Um, is that inside your class now?
I think so. Maybe it's called function and it shouldn't be function.
Yeah, I don't think you have to use the function keyword, and maybe actually you can't for
Uh,
a class method. I'm not sure about that.
Update reaction count. Yeah, makes sense
Hmm.
that it would be an error.
Okay.
That's better.
Yep. Commentable ID is not defined this time around.
Oh, makes sense. It's in the constructor.
So it'll have to be this dot
Yeah.
commentable ID. Okay.
I wanted
Just
to.
pe
Uh, yeah.
peeling back the layers.
Update buttons. Update buttons and
That one
reaction.
maybe needs to be referenced as this update buttons and reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, looks good. Looks clean.
Not yet. It's still
Not yet.
it's still
Still loading. Still running
loading.
your
Yeah, it's
JavaScript.
still loading.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. This is
it's looking
better.
good.
This is better.
Yeah.
We have some way to go, but we can jump off
It's a
right
step
now.
in the right direction.
We can jump off now.
Okay. That's cool.
Is anybody watching?
Um, the same people we started out with, I think. Yeah, same people we started out with. I haven't heard from any of them. I was talking to them while you were gone. Um,
All right.
yeah,
Well,
but
thanks for watching.
yeah, thanks for watching, and thank you, Dimitri, for inviting me to come on. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for uh, for your feedback, and I mean for your input, uh,
Sure.
and for doing this with me. It was fun.
Yeah, man.
The
Yeah,
code
man.
the code wasn't much fun, but
The code
your
is not fun,
your company
but
was.
there's yeah, yeah, definitely. And there's a feeling of satisfaction from sort of, I don't know, like d showing dominance over the code. Like the code is there trying to intimidate us, and we're coming in and just like putting it where we want it to be and showing it who's boss. I like that.
Oh, this code is something really. I have a
But
really
imagine what it's going to look like when you're done.
well
It's going to be amazing.
a month from now.
A month from now. Hey,
Well,
if it looks better in a month from now and you're the one doing it, it probably wouldn't have otherwise, right? Even in a month.
what I have in mind for this code is to reactify it actually, because this project uses
Okay.
Preact, and after we figure out
Hmm.
the structure, we could reactify it probably. But it would take a lot of
Cool.
effort. I don't know if it's worth it, but
Right.
at least
Yeah, that'll,
recovering structure is will make it better at least.
yeah, yeah. That'll be a lot easier to even consider tackling once what's there is readable.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let's jump off then.
Okay, sounds great.